You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler, hustler.
Welcome to Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Paid. I am your host, Luan the Don. In this show, we're going to interview successful business owners in construction and construction coaches. We're going to find out what it really takes to win in the construction industry. What it really takes to make a lot of money, have a great life, and be able to do the thing that you wanted to do. Enjoy. Hey, it's your boy Luan back again with another episode. Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Paid. Today I have a very special guest, Adam McChesney. He is a marketer, a brand builder, a father, and many more things. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Juan, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad that when you launched your podcast, that was the name of the podcast, because when I heard you first say that last year, I'm like, that is an incredible tagline.
Right. It's I'm a simple guy, so I try to simplify everything down to like a couple words, so then the messaging get across easier to people, right? It's
Keep it simple.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about how was it for you growing up here in the United States? I didn't grow up here, so talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so oldest of four kids. My parents, incredible people. My dad was actually an entrepreneur himself, so kind of knew a little bit about entrepreneurship just from seeing what he was doing when I was growing up. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for most of her life until after I went to college, and then she went to go back and be a school teacher. But I played sports all my life. We lived a a pretty fairly simple lifestyle. Didn't have all the bells and whistles, but had enough to basically survive and also do some extracurricular things here and there. So always had exactly what I needed in order to be successful. Right before I went to college, though, my parents ended up getting divorced. So that was kind of like my first like aha moment of like reality as I'm getting ready to go away to college, 2 hours away from home, being the oldest of four kids. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a little bit, I almost felt guilty leaving my
Mm,
siblings when this was happening, right? So my youngest brother is 12 and a half years younger than me. And then you have me at the top, right? So just felt a little bit weird, but ended up going to college about 2 hours away and played college soccer there, played there for 4 years at a small NAI school. Really loved it. This is where I started to learn a little bit more about entrepreneurship, but never really had an avenue like right after college to go ahead and start my own company or anything like that. I just didn't know it was a thing, but I started taking business classes. I majored in sports management and marketing and HR. So had some, little bits and pieces of what it was like to run a business just through classes I was taking. But worked a couple internships, always pretty much had a job while playing soccer as well, and then graduated and went from there.
yeah, so I think me and you had this conversation before. You think you did medical sales a little bit, and then started a marketing agency, and now a branding mastermind agency. But what did when your parent divorced and you were feeling some type of pain, some type of you say you would say you would feel bad for leaving to college. How did you deal with like that realization that your parents not gonna be together anymore? Unpack that pain a little bit for me.
Yeah, so it was very interesting because we grew up in like a suburb of St. Louis, and everybody like, had what they needed to have. Like none of my friends were like their parents were like living paycheck to paycheck or anything like that. And then, but like none of our friends were like super rich by any means. And it was interesting. So like what came along with that is I didn't really in my little sphere of the world know a bunch of people that had divorced parents. Like
Mm,
I obviously knew it was a thing because I played like select sports. So like when we would play select sports, it would be like all of St. Louis, which is a really freaking big area. And I had friends that had divorced parents, right? But like I didn't really know the ins and outs of it. But on the outside looking in, like everybody that knew my family and knew my parents were like, they literally have like the perfect marriage. Like
mm,
that's like the perfect family, right? The four kids, the nice house, the dad's a lawyer, the mom's a stay-at-home mom. Like it was kind of like that picturesque moment. And then it came all crumbling down the summer before I was getting ready to go to college. And so like I was leaving at that moment really freaking confused. Not to mention everybody I talked to was like, yeah, we can't believe that this happened. So like you have all the other people looking into your life and your situation and
mm,
you're like, dude, I don't even know what's going on.
mm,
So like I went to
mm,
college and then kind of just used it as an escape to be like,
mm,
hey, I'm only going to come home over break and a little bit over summer. And I kind of just let things go for 5 years and came back at times and saw different peaks and valleys of our family, but I kind of, for lack of a better terms, disconnected.
mm. So how's the relationship now with your mom, your dad, maybe your sibling? Was was it hard connecting back with them?
Yeah, so I always had a really good relationship with my mom and
Mm-hmm.
her side of the family. And since then, she's remarried, and my stepfather is an incredible human being. Uh,
Mm,
love him to death. He's almost more of like an actual father figure than my actual dad, to me at
mm,
least. So very happy that he came into our life, very happy for my mom, and he's got two incredible daughters now that they're married. They're stepsisters, obviously, as well. Um, I'd say like the biggest wrench really came into my relationship with my dad, and then also my siblings as well. They all don't live here in St. Louis, so like I live 5 to 10 minutes away from my parents.
mm,
They're all either out of state or a couple hours away. So I would say, I probably didn't do the greatest job of keeping that relationship going when I went to college, and then when I came back, they were all going to college. So
mm,
we kind of missed each other for about 8 years in that gap. And then combined with trying to juggle all the things that were going on with my parents, it was a little bit difficult. My dad, he was or is somebody that was kind of always like a buddy. So he would coach or at least be the manager of our high school club soccer team. So like all my friends absolutely loved my dad, and he would hang out with my friends when we were in college and after college, like even when I was not around. So that's kind of the lifestyle that he turned into getting into. And then he got remarried and has since been divorced again. So he
mm.
is a little bit all over the place, but I still love him to death, but not the same relationship that I think we had growing up, and just is what it is. I'm working on it, but yeah.
That's that's unfortunate, but I'm always intrigued of how people deal with the type of situation like this and what does that experience and dealing with those situations make you the type of person you are today. You obviously you're a great relationship builder. Probably saw something that you did growing up that you did not like to happen again. But
Mhm.
so they always say past experience influence future decision, right? So so kudos to you, man, for surviving that period of time. I wouldn't know what it felt like. I didn't grow up without that. My mom remarried when she was when I was 14. So, but I was raised by a single mother, and then when my mom remarried, I see from my stepdad's side, I see how their relationship just kind of drip off.
Mhm.
The two stepbrother was staying in the house. He was supporting them and everything. And as soon they got owning up, and they just kind of drifted away, and uh, and it's not really anybody's fault at that point in time. It's life. People building different life and things like that. So it's kind of really unfortunate that I witnessed that firsthand. He want the relationship with his sons, his two sons, but they don't want a relationship with him.
Mm, yeah.
Mm, yeah. So it's and now he's like, well, like I'm about to be in the hole now. He had prostate cancer. Um, so, well, it's not that bad, but I would like to see them connect again.
Mm.
It's the relationship's not going to be the same, but it's just kind of heartbreaking. But anyway, fast forward to now. Tell me a little bit about your baby, man. How's that experience changed you for the better?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changes your world. And I think kind of going back to like the experiences that I had as a kid, I didn't recognize like what was causing some of the tension for my dad and for my parents in their marriage and like for our family. And the older I've gotten and the more information, of course, like I unpack and I uncover and I think back to those experiences and I'm like,
Mm,
kind of see what was going on there.
mm,
Um, it helped me form like who I wanted to become as a father and
mm,
as a husband.
mm,
And, I think going back to when I got into digital marketing in 2018, this is going to be a long-winded way to answer your question, but I think it's all going to connect and make sense. But when I got into digital marketing in 2018, I was traveling a bunch of medical device sales and I was literally sitting in a hotel room. And I was sitting in a hotel room and, I was making $200,000 a year at the age of 26 going into 27. I lived in a 900 square foot townhouse that I owned, and I had just proposed to my now wife, Delaney. And so I'm like, man, I'm sitting in here. I have friends that haven't even graduated college yet. Like, you see the full end of spectrum, and everybody looked at who I was and they were like, man, Adam has it made. Adam has it made. He gets to travel the country, he gets to do all this cool shit. He's got a company credit card. Like, he's got the life. And I just proposed to Delaney and all those things. But like inside, I was like, this freaking sucks. If this is going to be the rest of my life, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I literally was sitting in that hotel room. I typed in how to make money online. Long story short, I found a course on digital marketing. I took it, I bought it, paid $7,000, started to implement it over 2 years. But in that moment, it was the first time that I was really like, what is it that I want? Because I always thought that I wanted money or things. And I thought that $100,000 a year would be life changing. And
mm,
like growing up, I'm like, man, if I could just make $100,000 a year, I'll have everything. Well, then I went from 75 to 150 in a year. And then I went from 150 to 200 that next year. And I'm like, man, like 200, you're kind of just getting started, right?
mm,
Like, especially like when you want to do all these things, not to mention inflation and all these other things. And then you meet people like in the groups that we were on in circles, and you're like, man, we're not doing shit compared to them. But it was at the first moment where I'm like, I know what I want, and that's freedom. The
mm,
freedom to work when I want to, where I want to, with who I want to, and how I want to. And I didn't want to be that dad that I had, right? And my dad's an
mm,
incredible person, right? And he did a lot of amazing things, but he was working for somebody else, a massive firm, making $500,000-600,000 in 1 or 2 years, lost it all from other stupid investments, and then decided to go open up his own law firm. And that was the point from that 4 to 5 years where entrepreneurship really crushed him and crushed the relationship he had with my mom. And so I knew I wanted the freedom, but I knew I didn't want to be the entrepreneur and the father and the husband that my dad was. So I had this vision in my mind. I was like, I know Delaney and I just got engaged, but we're going to get married this time next year when I was sitting in that hotel room. and I don't want to continue doing this. So I really had a game plan, like a 2 to 3 year exit plan, ended up happening in about 2 years to exit from ResMed, all on the basis that when I had a kid, right, or when we started our family, that if I wasn't going to be able to be somewhere, that like I was in control of that decision. Now, I don't want to be the person that's missing the games or doing all that stuff. I want to be there. I want to be able to coach. I want to be able to do those things for him. But I didn't want my work, my employer, the person paying my bills, to be like, no, Adam, I need you in San Diego for the next, 7 days. I wanted to be in control of that.
Mm,
So long-winded answer is it's changed my life, but looking back, because it was like a 5-year plan
mm.
that came to fruition this year. And of course, I've already learned things in 3.5 months where I'm like, man, I could be, I could have done better as a husband, or I could have done better as a father here, but I can't imagine doing it playing somebody else's game, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so excited about what we're doing as a family, what I'm doing as a father, what I'm building. You mentioned a couple different things I have going on. I played chess this past year, um, to really set myself up for 2024 and beyond. And it's now just really starting to catch steam. So I'm excited about what I'm building because of who I'm building it for.
mm, mm. Man, so good, so good. So first of all, man, give yourself some credit. I think, you're being too hard on yourself, but give yourself some credit. It's a big win, man, when you can plan something out for that long and have a vision, that and have a plan and executed that plan. And now it might not be 100% executed, but you got to where you want it to be right now, is in the position that you like to be, with nobody else controlling you but you,
Yeah.
right? So that is amazing. And you should give yourself a lot of credit for that, for what you went through. And maybe I'm just spitting fire here. Maybe that experience that your parents went through a divorce, and seeing all that this dysfunction, per se, but and it's probably is nobody's fault, right? It's as men, we tend to place our identity in what we do,
Yeah.
right? If your dad was a lawyer, he's like, I gotta fucking make it as a lawyer. He probably was feeling the same way you feeling, but like he didn't know how to scale out the business and then be that person for his family without, so I always say to forgive is to understand. So I think you understood what your father went through, and so then you did not want to make the same mistake again with your current family now. And I think that's amazing, man, that you are able to recognize that and then have a plan and execute that plan. Because man, 200,000 a year is hard to walk away, bro.
It is.
It's tough to walk away from making $250,000 a year as a 26-year-old. Like, if I make that when I was 26-year-old, I would have been dead. I would have been dead, no lie.
Yeah.
I would have been dead. Or traveling,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have been done. You wouldn't see the one you see here right now, right?
Right.
But for you to have that discipline, that that vision, and maybe it was love. It was love for your wife, your fiance at the time. It was love for your future child, and was love for your dad, because you want to have something that he can be proud of later on in life, right? Man, that's amazing. And then talk to me a little bit about your plan for 2024. Where are you taking this thing?
Yeah. So my big focus right now is working myself out of the day to day in our agency. So over the last 3.5 years, I mean, I built up my digital marketing agency from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months, became a franchisee at Hite Digital. Now as of June of last year, I'm a partner in the entire franchise company. So I'm overseeing our growth department, which has been a massive project. And so we're building out kind of our first ever sales team. We're building out a lot of processes and systems because my personal brand, which will tie into what I'll talk about here in a second, has driven so much of our growth, which has been really good. But if I'm not around or if I'm not doing a lot of the activity, the leads will sometimes obviously shore up a little bit. So we're really focused on doing that. My goal is at the end of Q1 for us to replace me with a sales director of sorts that we will bring in and kind of groom to take over a lot of that stuff while building out sales reps and all those individual things. So it's a fun project. It's exciting. It's a little bit nerve-wracking and anxious as well. But we're continuing to grow and scale our agency. It's the most profitable we have ever been. So we've increased our pricing a little bit, but more importantly, we know who our ideal clients are now. We know where they come from. We know what they look like. We know how long they've been in business. We know all of those things. And I didn't know that for a very long time. So, Inc. 5000 the last 2 years, continuing to just like innovate in a very, very difficult and unregulated market that digital marketing is, of course, especially in working with contractors. So that's been really fun. And then, for the past couple of years, I've literally just been posting all over social media, and I don't post about digital marketing other than like 5 to 10% of the time. My posting is really about entrepreneurship, day in the life of the entrepreneur, the personal side, motivation, determination, all of those things. But it's built the top of the funnel. So more people know, like, and trust Adam McChesney, which has ultimately led into our digital marketing agency just growing like crazy from it. So the flip side of that is, at the end of the day, there's a ton of digital marketing agencies that are out there. So I'm working with about a fraction, maybe less than 1% of the people I'll ever come in contact with for one reason or another. But I had so many people raising their hand that were like, I want more Adam McChesney. I want the personal branding and the entrepreneurship side of things. Which for me, for so long, I was like, I also have an auto glass repair company in St. Louis. I also have a landscape design company, which are side businesses that I don't run or touch, but I do the marketing for them. We built simple websites, ranked them, and generated so many leads that they became into companies that I said, hey, I've let at times the digital marketing company be a secondary thing because I focused on the shiny object before. I don't want to go do that again. Well, it got to the point where people were just asking and willing to pay me and do all these things that had already been self-validated, and the agency already kind of runs without me, just not 100% fully. So I'm like, I'm going to start this Builders of Authority, which is a group mastermind, inner circle, one-to-one coaching for personal branding specific stuff. And then we're going to be launching a course here later this month. So I'm really excited about that particular aspect. I'm excited about more speaking opportunities this year. I have over 10 on the books, a couple that will be paid as well. So really, really excited about that. Excited about just what's going to come in 2024. I don't even think I know all the amazing things that's going to happen. I know a lot of it, coaching and consulting being one of them. And then also I have a couple of equity deals that are sitting on my desk that I will be likely taking some action on. I already have one profit sharing deal set up, basically reverse engineering how marketing agencies help companies, right? So a lot of agencies are of course set up with a retainer model. Well, because of the brand that I've built and because of my marketing experience, if you want to call it consulting for equity or getting equity because I'm bringing in digital assets, is building up these little mini websites that I have here in St. Louis and then flipping them into an asset that I can bring into a company and get equity inside the company and then revamp all of their internal and external marketing.
But that's amazing, man. That your head in the right place. You got a lot of project going on, and it, it seems like 2024 is going to be a breakout year for Adam McChesney, right?
I think
What
so.
what What's your baby name, man?
Murphy,
Murphy is a girl?
a boy.
Girl, a boy, a boy. So how many? So let's look 5 year. Let's look ahead 5 year. How many kids you want to have?
Two.
Two?
Yes.
A girl?
Yeah, that's what my wife
Uh,
wants. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What if, let's play pretend here. What if there's another boy coming? Are you gonna try for a third one?
I don't think so. No, I think my wife's pretty content on two. I think if you would have asked her before baby number one, before Murphy, she probably would have said, "Yeah, we're gonna go until we get a girl." But I think, once you experience it, you're like, "Okay, I'll do two, and then I'll be done."
Yeah, I was gonna my plan was only one kid, bro. And then the second one come at an accident. I'm like, fuck, might as well try for a third one. But man, tell me how fun it is to have a kid, man. Like, what's a w- I know the feeling is hard to describe, but if you can describe it, what are a few sentences you can describe it? The feeling of having, a little mini you, like just sitting here taking a shit or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course there's times where you're like, what did I sign up for? But I mean, overall, I think it reignites like your purpose and your meaning in life and takes it to a completely different level. I think that's probably like the easiest way to explain it. But what it really helps me like reframe and redo and dude, I'm not the greatest at this and I'm really trying to be harder, but like I take my personal brand, I take, the integrity, I take everything that I touch like I take it with so much ownership and I care about it so much. I care about my clients. I care about all these things. And I've realized over the last couple of years that I've literally let my business or my clients or what people think or what I could be doing more of, I let that stuff consume me and
Mm,
it literally will drive me crazy for days and weeks at a time. And then, you have a baby and now you have another person that you're responsible for that can't be responsible for themselves. And you realize and I've learned a lot. Like it's crazy how much you can learn from a baby. Like they smile a lot. They also cry a lot. But they're like not thinking about, what happened yesterday. They're thinking about the moment, right? They're living in the moment. And that moment might be them eating or taking a crap on themselves. Like they're just there for the moment. But a lot of times they're laughing or crying or giggling and all those things. And so when I see after I get home from work, when I leave the office and get home and I see him and I see him smile or I see him sleep and I'm like, man, it's great to have something to come home to, and then I love my wife, but it's great to have our child to come home to as well. That's just sitting there, and whether he knows it or not, just super excited to see me at times, right? If he's awake,
mm.
um, and it makes you realize how much like all the other crap that we deal with on a daily basis, like 99.9% of it is temporary. It's minimal. It's not as important or as big of a deal as we typically will make it actually seem.
Right, man. That's so good, so good. Yeah, when I I got my first kid, I was young, bro. I was 21, I think.
Mm,
And I didn't really conceptualize that I'm a father until I changed a shitty diaper, you
mm,
know. But we were not in the position that we are right now. I mean, I think my salary was 42 grand
mm,
before tax. Jess was a cocktail waitress. So I mean, like combined, we barely probably 80, 90.
mm,
So we were trading ship, you know, from watching the baby, but having a baby basically set my life in this trajectory. I was going here
mm,
and now I go here and I'm like shit. I got to make something for myself. Like we were renting a house. We didn't have no car, like have shitty car, used car, an apartment, and then we move into the house, and then that's what's when I got my first promotion job. I'm like, you know what? I want to move up in the company. I'm
Mm,
gonna I'm gonna be I want to be somebody that my kid can look up to, right? Because 21, fuck, like every couple weeks I got $1,500 pay, $1,000 paycheck. Yeah, it's good, pay rent, buy drink. Like I didn't really have no purpose per se, but the children, quote unquote, say saved me from having children young kind of saved me from those year that most of people waste, right? From 21 to maybe like 25, 26, those college year, those prime year. So I just, I just put my head down and I've been working ever since, like working on myself ever since that day. It's been a 10, 12 years journey on self development and self improvement. And so I move up and get all the way to marketing executive at the casino. So that's where I got, most of my marketing and sales and business experience from before dipping my toe into construction industry. And life's been good, man, but really now that my three kids are a little bit older, then now they can talk, they can communicate. It's so much more fun, man. So much more fun when they can talk shit at you, like when you 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 can play like Mario Kart or something, and you can actually conversate, spend some time with them. It's really an amazing experience for me. So I'm kind of giving you what the future might look like for you. And at that point, man, the business don't fucking matter. The little fucking callback don't fucking matter. Like none of that shit matter.
mm,
What matters is, the here, the now with the people that you love, So the business is a vessel to serve us. That's
mm,
what I think, you
mhm,
know. Because sometimes when I started, I built a business, I had to serve the sub, the client, this, but really the business is built there as a vessel to serve us, and then we can serve other people. So that's how I think about business. But man, so happy for you, man. But having a baby, I know that experience is amazing. So
appreciate it, man.
yeah. So what tell me, so how's your wife doing to all this? Or how what does she think when you come home at night? Does she care about what you're doing with the marketing agency, the this and that? You guys talk about that kind of stuff at all? Or she's just like, keep that shit away from here. How's that dynamic go in the home for you?
Yeah, so I think over the last year and a half, she has started to get more interested in the business side of things. So for like the first 2 years, she was kind of like, whatever happens, happens. I don't really care. Like she trusts me to, if I'm going to take a bet on something, it better pay off. Or if it doesn't pay off, I'm going to learn some lessons and we'll still have a roof over our head type of thing. And so she was a nurse in a school before that, and then the hospital before that. Now she's staying at home with Murphy, and that's the plan for the foreseeable future. So I'm just fortunate and lucky enough, obviously, for us to be able to be in that position, because obviously childcare, as you well may know, is freaking stupid expensive, and it's something that's important to us. Of course, having Delaney be at home, but about a year and a half ago, so we built obviously like so much of our team in Nicaragua, and so I used to go down there quite often, right? And I still do, but haven't been in a couple of months because of Murphy. But she was able to come down to Nicaragua with me for the first time in July of 2022. Then we went to Costa Rica for another business event in of August of 22. And then last year we went back to Nicaragua, and then we did Costa Rica again last year. So it's been tough because she was a school nurse, she didn't have a lot of time off, and she was always on like the school schedule. So like in the summers, she could go to all the different events, but like I'd always try to get her to come to a win rate event, but like it just never worked with her schedule. So I think like the biggest opportunity we have in our relationship moving forward is, now that she is staying at home, is being able to bring her and Murphy to these events. So like I'm speaking in Orlando, Florida at a service-based business event next month, and then at an SEO event in April in Arizona. And they're going to get to come with to me to both of those events, which is like incredible, right? Because I think it's really tough to kind of bring it full circle. Is like, it was really tough to show her and tell her what I was talking about, and to talk about my team. And I could like obviously have her meet these people on Zoom and all those different things. But when you see it in person, and obviously like I know Jess has came to multiple events, like I'm sure you have really good experience being able to be like, hey, before Jess didn't probably understand what being in the room with these people and like why you're so passionate about what you do, before and after are like completely different things. It's like when somebody sees it and can feel it and can touch it, it magnifies what vision you're already telling them, if that makes sense.
That's great, man. To be able to be in that position where, you can bring your significant others on the trip with you and doing all the things that you're doing, I think it's great. Jess, she support me because she loves me, but she don't want nothing to do with the business. She don't. But so my plan is to hire her replacement, scale her out of business, and then scale myself out of business. So that's my goal for 2024. It's just really focus on doing the thing that make me happy, doing the thing that develops some type of hobby. This is a hobby to me, just talking, conversation with people, and really most of the conversation I have, there's rarely any time we talk anything about business because that everything's had been beaten like a dead horse already. Like, like you gotta do like all that, but it's really about how we navigate to the personal life, the personal world. I think that's really, if there's one thing that can make the biggest impact for people, is like, okay, they listen to our personal story, our personal struggle, how we grow up. Maybe some listener out there that you know this, man, that listen to your podcast and like, oh my God, he went to the same thing that I did. And he dealt with the same thing that I dealt with. He had a baby, I have a baby too. And if he can, do this and still focuses on this, it kind of give them some motivation, some inspiration to change their life without us even knowing who they are. So I think that's kind of cool. Like I got like random messages. The podcast only been out for a couple of weeks, but I read random messages from people that I'm not friend with. And it's like, man, I listened to so on this and been listening to your message, and I really connect with you on this point, and so I think that's great, man. To see that our conversation have a lot of impact on people, and that's what I do this for. So
Yeah, it's powerful, man.
yeah. So uh, if you were to give 21 years old Adam, or let roll it back, 17 years old Adam, you're a senior in high school, right? You maybe you have big dream. I mean, you didn't have dream. What would you give 17 years old? What the advice you wish you had when you were 17? Let's phrase it that way.
Don't sweat the small stuff. I
Oh,
mean, like I look back and I've struggled with like stress and anxiety and like mental health shit for as long as I can freaking remember, whether it was like getting bullied in grade school and high school, or like going to college and dealing with just stupid chaos, right? And then everything in working for somebody else and being an entrepreneur. And I always will find myself in like a season where I'm like, man, this thing that I'm going through right now, like it has the ability to break me. And in all
Mm,
reality, it doesn't. But like it's that thing that's like causing me the stress, the sleepless nights, the all those things. And like I remember like it was in December or November getting ready to launch like the Builders of Authority stuff. I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do basically like months worth of work in 10 days. Like I just don't know
mm,
how I'm gonna do it. Just freaking myself out that I almost didn't even take action on certain things. And then I knocked everything out in 10 days and a lot of it out in like a couple of days. But like that almost wrecked me. And now I
mm.
have a whole other, like a month and a half later, I have a whole other set of like the new biggest problems.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
then next month, I'm going to have a whole other set of like those things. Right. So like so many of these things are small in reality. And so I I'm grateful for how I feel about these things. And I think it's a superpower, but it's also something that is a deterrent that I care so much about these things that I want to make things as perfect as they possibly can be. I take pride in that and all
Mm,
those things. But I
mm,
also have to give myself some grace and not sweat those small things. Like I envy people sometimes when they are just terrible. Not, I don't envy them because they're terrible people, but you know, the people that keep screwing people over that we
mm,
see all over social media with like the new
mm,
cars and stuff. And you're like, man, I've talked to like 5 people that have all been screwed over by this guy. How does he sleep at night? Well, those people
mm,
just like don't care. I
mm,
don't want to get to that point, but I want to get to a point where I'm like not letting the little things destroy me.
mm, mm. Yeah, so good, man. So good. You know, there's a saying somebody told me I heard this on the podcast the day, and I might apply into this situation that they say don't let perfection get in the way of greatness.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
So that is kind of like my mantra right now. I'm just and then there's a balance right there. I'm the type of guy that, hey, if I produce something, I'll just put it out there. I don't give a shit if it's like the audio is kind of a little off, the video is kind of a little off. Because in reality, when I'm listening to podcasts, I don't really care. If
Yeah.
you have if you have a little R right here, I don't care because you have a message. I'm looking for that message, and most of the time I think that we focus too much on that 80% that we think they're gonna make it, but the content's already done. That's the 80% but it's only take us 20% of the time to do it. It's the editing, the all the flashy shit that you put on is the all the caption, all this shit is the 80% that only maybe increase the viewer time maybe 20% more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now if I were to not spend time on that and just record 5 episodes in one day, right? 5 or 6 episodes in one day or 20 episodes in one week, now I have content for half a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but and podcast not easy content, man. It's not like you have an idea you saw on TikTok and you make a 30-minute video and you edit it for 15 minutes. No, this is like an hour long content where we have to sit down and be an active listener and just kind of have a conversation, be a conversationalist. It's all we already done the tough work. That shit's tough. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with creating SOP. That's just tough,
Hmm.
So why are we stressing more on the little shit that you know and you know and you know that nobody gives a shit? And out of 100 people, there's maybe one asshole that send you a message, hey man, I think you should get a better microphone. nobody say that shit unless they trolls, right?
Yeah.
Or I think you should get a new camera. Like, no, I've never heard anybody say that shit to me. And if they do, I'm like, you know what? Why don't you buy me one?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, man. Hey, it's been a great time chatting with you, man. And I'm sure we'll see each other again this year. I'm just now planning my 2024 traveling and all that. The more like you discussed before, the more we get into this entrepreneurship, there's another bigger problem. The problems just keep getting bigger, and I'm like, I hate traveling. And I'm just gonna put that out there. If I travel for like, if I go to Vietnam or Italy when there's no work involved, I'm down.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to another fucking Vegas convention again, then I'm like, dude, like, oof, like it's and all the conventions in Vegas now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
They know how to market and get people there.
Like, bro, do it in like Phoenix or some shit. Vegas rough, man. Vegas rough on me. There's too many temptation, So, all right, man. It's been great, man. Thank you for coming on and be vulnerable and sharing your story with everybody. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler, hustler.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you find this episode helpful or if it changed your life in a positive way in any manner, please share with another friend, tell another friend about this podcast, or even contact me if you're a construction business owner that have a great story to tell. Please do contact me. Again, thank you. Until next time.
I see 'em on the gram while they flexing rubber bands. I'm working on my foreign exchanges.